Sometime when the 2020 two geeks from social media formed an alliance to bring you geek news from across the Nostalgiaverse. They are Jacob's Toys and SuperSorrell. Bringing you a weekly live show, toy, TV and movie reviews, special guests, opinions, tangents, and bad impressions, reveals, releases, thoughts, maybe dreams. Now prepare for the Geek Week in Review.
Oh, episode 124 of the Geek Week in Review. With, of course, me, Jacob's Toys, and the wonderful one and only SuperSorrell. I pointed in the right direction this week. Amazing. I figured it out. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you're one of our regular viewers, hello. We'll get to you in the comments ASAP. If you're watching us on recap, then we do appreciate you as well. Thank you very much. Try to tune into a live show one week, maybe. Sorrel, how you been this week?
I've been good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, actually. It's been quite a fun week. Bit varied.
Oh, yeah.
Bit of a... It's what?
I said, oh, yeah. It's been a very random week.
Yeah. It's bizarre because obviously, like last weekend, there's so much going on with like conventions and stuff like that. And then this week it all kind of goes a little bit quiet. But yeah, there was quite a bit going on. Any good pickups this week?
Yeah, I can show you. Hang on.
Yeah,
So I remember I've done a video, so there will be a video of this going out, but I can show you these really quick. One of them and one of these. Did I show you this? I don't think I've even shown you this. I'm going to show you that as well. Here we go. So,
what we got?
So, on a website that I love to use called toysforapound.co.uk, which is an amazing website, they had the Haunted Mansion organ player for 10 quid.
Wow.
This thing has been holding its value about 30 quid for the longest time. It's a Disney Store exclusive one. It's got the little sticker on it. So it's one of the harder ones to come by. But yeah, it's a really nice one. And for just the low price of £5, the Funkoverse Monster strategy game.
Nice.
It goes with 4 little minis. I mean, for the £5 alone, it's worth it just for the little minis.
Yeah.
And then you'll like this one, because I know you're like me and you're a big fan of the Christmas Carol. We're Marley and
amazing.
Marley.
That's awesome.
We're Marley
that is
and
really
Marley. Cool. And that's from GameStar. $24.99 is not bad either for them.
I tell you what, there are certain things that work in Funko, I think. Like Muppets, for example, look really cool because they're they almost remind me of like the Muppet Kids. Is that the right word? I can't remember what they call it. Muppet Babies, yeah. They almost look a little bit like that. So they kind of work, which is quite cool. I'm looking forward to it. It's Christmas time now, isn't it? Everything's gearing up to Christmas. So it's all that kind of Halloween's over. I'm sorry, mate. Like, I know you like your Halloween season, but
it's okay. It's okay, Jacob.
What's he got?
It's okay. Because this year, the elves gone evil and rogue.
Wow.
I found a black elf on the shelf.
What? Oh dear, it's going.
I can keep the theme going all year long.
He's just getting Halloween into everything. I got a really cool parcel this week. You might have seen guys over at Hasbro sent me like a big Halloween.
Oh, I saw that. Was awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. To be fair, it was like a lot of stuff. Like none of it was for me. Like, to be fair, apart from Magneto helmet. That's
right.
Cool.
I expect to see shots of every single one of those items on your big face because I love doing that.
I tell you though, I tell you what, right? It's because I know a couple of the places have been doing it. Like I think it was Kapow did it for like 50 quid, and loads of people bought it because it was at 50 quid, and it's not compared to the other helmets. There's like nothing to it. It really is
that's a bit,
it's like you could 3D print a similar version, but it's official. It's X-Men 97, and it is just very cool. It's just like there's something very cool about it.
If I don't see a shot this week of you wearing that and going, "Whoa," I'm making like the kitchen drawer open or something.
I'll tell you what. The thing that I really liked about it is the fact that it comes with a stand. It was really cool. Andy said your lad must be loving that stuff. Yeah, so I did a short with my youngest, with Miles, and he was absolutely in element. Because it was all geared towards like younger kids. That is like silly string and Nerf blasters and stuff. But it was cool. I mean, the sad thing is that Hasbro sent it out expecting it to be here for Halloween. Like the whole thing was geared up towards Halloween, and it came here on the 1st of November, literally the morning of the 1st of November. So obviously they apologized and that, but it didn't make a difference to us. We had a lot of fun with it, and yeah, it was cool to have some other X-Men 97 branded stuff. So quite excited for that. But yeah, apart from that, I didn't really pick up much.
No, I built something though this weekend.
Ooh, built something.
So, yeah. So what I love about Mythic Legions is it doesn't matter what you do with them, you can build them from scratch. Like there's just a ball joint in the middle. It just pulls apart and the heads pull off, and they've got these different, like if the heads don't fit, there's these different neck joints that they have, which are just attaching to the neck like a little ball peg.
Oh wow.
So I basically took the Hobgoblin's cape,
Yep,
upper part of the Black Knight, the lower part of one of the vampire figures that I don't use, and gave him the sword of the Headless Horseman and one of the spare heads from Headless Horseman. The
nice.
head normally has a little thing at the back which plugs in to create the big fire effects, like sit it in his hands so it looks like it's on fire. But that came out very easily with a bit of hot water. So I was able to use this head with the flaming eyes as like a haunted head.
That looks cool. Like, that looks like an official figure. Like that looks like something you would pick up yourself.
Yeah, called him the Hollow Knight, the Hallowed Knight.
Nice. Yeah, no, I built some stands actually because I got this helmet and it came with a stand. I was talking to you earlier about it, wasn't I?
Yeah.
And there's quite a few people out there that have used things like kitchen roll holders and toilet roll holders and stuff as stands. And I thought, I'll give it a try. And yeah, I picked up a few and made these stands, like these bespoke sort of stands for my helmets. But they're really cool. I mean, you can just about see here in this one, I got my War Machine helmet there, and then my War Machine hot toy. And so I can get the helmet facing outwards with the hot toy next to it in a shelf, which is really nice. So I went a bit crazy. I made like 4 of them, but just like any helmet I had. But it's cool because it means I can actually display the helmets I've got. Like on the other side, you can't see it. It's like Black Panther. I've got the same setup. I've got the Black Panther mask and the Black Panther hot toy, which is really cool. But yeah, it's been a bit of a slow week. You know what I mean? Not a huge amount going on. But there's been reveals, haven't there? There's been like a lot of toy news.
Yeah, there's been some random toy stuff going on. Sorry, I was laughing. I was just flicking through my YouTube as I'm talking to you, and I just saw that someone put a comment on saying, "Get a life." Like, all right, thanks for that. Get a life.
I'll tell you what, the people that comment those things, like they come few and far between, touch wood, but I don't really get it. I don't understand. Like,
mate, if you've managed to upset somebody on the internet by doing nothing wrong, by just making a little stupid video going, remember the 5th of November, if that's all you've done with a mask on and you've been a bit of a prat on camera and they've come up and found some way to hate it, that just means it's working. That means you're under their skin. So I'm happy with that.
The thing that cracks, I saw one guy doing, I can't remember what his name was, but he was doing like a video on people that kind of troll and people that hate and stuff. And it's this weird kind of like circle because by hating, they're feeding the algorithms. That's what they don't understand. Like by commenting, you're feeding the algorithm. So even if you absolutely hate a creator and you're spamming their stuff with like trolling comments and stuff, you're feeding into their algorithms and therefore giving them more exposure, more monetization if they're monetizing their channels and stuff. And putting it in front of other people. So you're kind of counterproductive by doing it. That's like, that's why I don't get it. I'm just kind of like how does that work? But either way, each to their own. You know what I mean? Don't want to watch, don't watch.
Exactly.
But there was a couple of reveals, wasn't there? There's a couple of reveals.
Yeah, I'm trying to quickly find a picture of the stupid Marvel one.
So it's Lilandra.
Lilandra, isn't it?
Yeah. So she's obviously from the X-Men, and we've only had her as a head sculpt so far. So they released her as a head sculpt in.
That was some time ago now.
Might have been
she came with the Mystique figure.
Yeah, Mystique figure. You had the
blue, the blue and half rogue face. You had the Mystique face, and then you had the Lilandra face.
Yes.
And then a lot of people basically used the Silver Sable body, didn't they, to basically build Lilandra originally.
Yeah, me. I actually had one. I built one up using a different one, and I painted it, everything. And then when that Silver Saber figure came out, I got a second one of that and made that. But what I thought was interesting about it is that I don't know if you remember, but on the live stream at PulseCon, they done a fan vote, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
And one of the
Here we go.
options was a character that we've only ever done as a head.
So
So I do wonder whether she was in there as the, like, potentially as the, you know, that if it had won, that's what we would have seen. I don't know.
It's a random one. It's definitely a random one. It's not one I'm overly excited for.
No, I mean, it's when I did my custom, for example, a lot of the what's it called, the imagery you get of her and stuff, she has like the cape like draped over her arm. It's very regal looking, and so she has the cape down her back and then the cape kind of draped over her arm, and that's what I did with my custom. I just attached a cape piece to the lower arm, but I kind of expected them to do something like that with this, but they haven't. They've just kind of given us the cape, and I mean, it's okay looking, but we've not had anything better than this image. There's not been a clearer image of this yet, so I'm interested to see.
I reckon that cape is about to be reused on about 4 or 5 figures, all in a row. Because that cape, it screams Doctor Strange. Just paint it a different color. Yeah. But for me, I'm thinking we might see a new release of Cloak and Dagger to go with the Marvel Knights collection, and that'll be Cloak, and because there's the flap at the side that comes out, would be easy to put Dagger underneath, like posed up. Yeah, like she could appear from under the cape on that side. It's flat. It'd
have to be big. They'd have to make a bit. I'm hoping if they revisit Cloak and Dagger, they go big on the cloak, because it's like.
Best thing to do is use your Marvel Legends Dagger with the Diamond Select Cloak, because he's hollow on the inside.
Yeah,
that's what I did. Cool. That's what I did for the longest time. Cool.
They're 2 Marvel Legends figures that I've not been able to part with yet. Yeah, it's cool. Speaking of customs and that, El Tree said in the comments, "I'm doing your Robbie Reyes custom." Cool, appreciate that. Let me know how it turns out. But yeah, no, I'm excited. It was cool to see another reveal, which was bizarre because Dan had put on Twitter saying that November was going to be quiet and there wasn't going to be any reveals, and then he kind of backtracked and said he forgot about this one, but we shouldn't expect to see anything else Marvel Legends wise kind of pop up anywhere this November. So
I don't know. I don't believe him.
No, I don't know.
This one made me excited. Good old lady. But this is obviously the famous, Bauer scene where the beat is campaign. Yeah. In Stranger Things, I really love that part. That's one I'm definitely buying.
It looks like digital render. Is that right?
That's a digital render for now. Yeah. It's coming out. It's an exclusive to Target at the moment. We should get it in the UK through Smiths or probably somewhere like that. They usually stock them. But to me, this is better because I was going to get the one where he's on top of the caravan roof with Dustin with the guitar. I wanted that one. But it's like 100 and something quid in some stores, like 80 quid at some retail shops. So I was like, nah, I can't afford that. Stupid. But that's more affordable. So there's a little bit of me that hopes they do the other side of the table and they put like Dustin and put all the characters on the other side.
Well, they could do what they did with the Avengers one. Do you remember when they did the Shawarma one and they had all the different characters, didn't they? And then it kind of built up the table. Build them up. That would work really well. It'd be interesting to see this from a different angle, because if the table is up against the edge of the display, flush against the edge of display, then that would.
This is the only picture they've released so far. This is the only thing we've seen. They've not released any of the box pictures or anything yet.
That would be a very cool display for people to build up. Get all of those kind of Hellfire Club members playing D&D. Like that would be, and I think that would be popular across various different sort of interests and stuff.
It would be wise for you to run. I love that scene. It's my favourite scene out of season 4.
It is a good season. A good scene.
It's a good season, full stop. I love Vecna and stuff. It's just a cool season. Continue on the toy news. Mythic Legions, the Rising Suns. This is going to be the newest line of Mythic Legions. We're going to find out more. Join us on the 11th of the 10th, 23, starting at 10 a.m. EST for the reveal of the latest Legions wave.
So that's as in the 11th or the 10th of November.
It's the 10th of November, backwards Americans.
Yeah.
If it was the other way around, it'd be a bit of a weird announcement.
Yeah, join us last month. Rising Suns, that's interesting. And Suns obviously spelt in the parental aspect. Okay. Do we know
Looks
anything else about the?
Nope, nothing. Just that
literally
image. That image and that whole like that little logo that they've made, and that's it. That's all we know. So
It looks like two clan logos though, doesn't it?
there always are. So like most Mythic Legions waves are usually like you'll get like the one-offs like your Headless Horsemen, and they come under the Figure Obscura line. But then they do the regular Mythic Legions line, and you'll usually get like 4 or 5 vampires versus like 3 or 4 like I think it was elves last time. Like I've got the centaur piece from that. They do release like good and evil, which I like. They give you like goodies and baddies. So it'll be good to see what they're doing. It looks like they're doing some form of skeleton warriors again, so I'll be up for that and
cool.
see what they're going to be up against. But yeah, it looks good.
I'm surprised that someone else hasn't really tapped into the 6-inch skeleton like thing.
Fantasy
Do you know what I
waves.
mean? Like even with like all these kind of crowdfunded waves and stuff. Like what was the one that Shartmus did? The Street Humans.
Street Humans are going to come on to that in a bit.
It didn't fund, did it?
Ooh, we're going to talk about that.
It's what?
We're going to talk about that in a bit. Shartmus is not a happy boy.
No, we'll get to that. But I'm just saying, like, in that aspect, obviously, his motivation with it was to give us kind of street level characters, which totally understand and kind of, as a collector, I sort of totally get behind. But I think nowadays, especially in like things like with Joes and Legends, we're getting a lot more kind of civilian styled characters, but skeletons and they're something that we don't get.
Yep.
And to do kind of a wave of skeleton warriors, well, I think I've got a crowdfunding idea here. Watch this space. Watch this space.
No, so big, what they're called, Boss Studios.
Yeah,
something Boss Studios. They do a skeleton line because I've got a couple of them. They did like a green skeleton, which was a pirate. I've got the blue one, which came with the pumpkin head, which was like the sort of sorcerer or Grim Reaper, whatever you want to use it as. So they kind of do tap into it a little bit as well. But Mythic Legions do it on the whole. I mean, like this figure is made all from Mythic Legions parts except the cape. Like the great part about Mythic Legions is all of the parts connect to every other figure. And if they make a new neck piece or a new neck joint, they make something that makes them all compatible. So you can either plug this part in or out. And you can just pull their arms off, their gloves off. All of the cloth pieces are removable. So you can create some really unique looking characters. Like you said, he looks like he belongs out of a proper wave. They're just so easy to pull apart and stuff. But I mean, like even like the centaur I've got. I mean, I kept that in when I moved on to horror stuff because it's just a beautiful piece. It's massive. Yeah, it's the same scale as the Headless Horseman, but just with this great big centaur body on it. It's awesome looking. So yeah, I mean, Mythic Legions. I'm looking forward to seeing what this wave is, and because I'm pretty late in the game to them now, but like I love the vampire wave. I collected most of that, and then we've got the necromancy wave coming out in a few months. And I haven't pre-ordered any, but I'm looking to grab some because there's Cool Emporium. They tend to get them in like reasonable stock numbers.
Yeah, it's a really cool toy line. It really is. It's a very cool toy line. I just don't. I just think for the sake of like skeletons, like you could have like your base offering would be like your skeleton or like your 3-pack of skeletons, and then like you could have different kind of bolt-on packs where you got like your kind of Jason and the Argonaut style armor, like a sword and a shield and whatnot, and then you could get the next one where it'd be like helmets and chainmail and stuff like that. So you could kind of build them up in different directions. Like that would be very cool. But then you'd get some people that would just want the base offering of skeletons for action figure photography and things like that. I'm gonna have to look into this.
It's a lot of YouTubers are starting to do it. I mean, double check what Fwoosh has done because he's done some stuff, but they're not available over here. But he's done some stuff as well, very similar to that kind of thing. He sort of thought the same as you're thinking. Then we had Loose Collectables or Loose Collector. Yeah, they're continuing their they're continuing their Crypt Wave, and they're creating the Great Wolves, one in grey, one in a more like brownie color. These things look awesome. They look so good.
They really do. These are. It's just really cool to see. because we live in an age now where there are third party and there are small businesses and there's the crowdfunded and the printing and all that kind of stuff. Like the options for things to be available is unknown, like unbelievable in comparison to what it was like however many years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah,
there's the mock-ups. It's going to be just as big as the Jekyll and Hyde that I got. I mean, it's just as big, and that is a beautiful looking wheel. I can't wait for that to drop. I'll be pre-ordering one of those.
That's going to be amazing looking.
Yeah. Speaking of pre-order, look at that bad boy as well. They're working on the Chupacabra.
That's really cool.
I thought they put Tom Cruise as the Chupacabra. I don't know why, but okay. But yeah, oh my god, he's bigger than the damn. So that wolf there, the side, that's the one that I unboxed on my channel. That Sergeant something or other from that third party. He came with like shotguns and stuff. You could have him either as like a werewolf like that, or have him with like he's a hybrid kind of thing. But this figure is going to be bigger than that, so that's nuts.
Wow!
I like how they had to grey it out so they didn't get in trouble.
Yeah.
This figure also dropped with props and replicas this week. I can't say this. La Muerta, the Day de los Muertos figure. She dropped with loose collectibles this week, so I stuck a pre-order in as well. I'm not gonna lie, she's my first figure that I've pre-ordered in a while again. But
she's gonna be very cool. She's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, she looks too cool not to get. I can imagine standing her with the Crow, to be honest, and having them on that like together on that shelf.
Yeah, it's very
like that kind of
isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a Mexican version of the Crow, really. But yeah, some of the stuff that Loose Collectibles are starting to look at doing, like the mummy look there.
Yeah.
Someone's put Power Slave Eddie. It does look like Eddie from Iron Maiden.
He does actually, yeah. Wow.
Some form of big monster thing going on. So
it's got a name. What is that called?
Is it Cthulhu? Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I can't think of it.
But there was another one as well that I can't remember where they've not posted on here. They must have removed it. They put a picture of a head, just a head, and it was Frankenstein.
Oh, right.
So they're working on that as well now.
Oh wow, that'd be cool. That would be cool.
So yeah, that was Mythic Legions. But yeah, there was obviously Sharnimus Prime's Kickstarter that was going. We've not really can't speak tonight. Touched on it much in the show.
No.
But it got 72,000 out of its 96. It didn't do bad. 705 backers, but it failed to back.
Yeah. Hang on, just quickly. There we go. I can't pronounce it, but that was the word I was thinking. So Andy H with is what you said. Cthulhu. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we haven't really talked much about Street Humans. I mean, it's out there. Everyone sort of knows what's going on in that. And yeah, I mean, they looked cool, and there was a whole backstory with them, and that they had kind of created this, almost like this concept of like a TV show that went with it and stuff.
I think a lot of people are saying the idea of them is that they're background characters for your dioramas, for your, for your photography and stuff. You can because you can use them as either in the monster form, or you can obviously have them in their like street forms as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he like this, like these guys here. Oh, I've clicked on the video. Oh God, YouTubers. Let's not do that again. Sorry, guys, you can't hear what I can hear. He went to a YouTube video there with Sharnimus Prime's video. Voice just going street humans. So you can either have them in the human mode like this, or have them in their sort of monster modes. And the thing is, they're 30 quid a pop.
Yeah.
So I mean, for a background character, it's a bit on the expensive side. But the figures do look nice. They do look very cool.
Oh yeah, there was no. I couldn't really fault them for what they were, and I did like the swap around, like the interchangeable aspect. It's similar to what you said about the Mythic Legions, that you could swap them around. Like that is definitely a thought process to action figure photography and stuff, because then they're not necessarily the same characters popping up in every single picture and stuff, and they scale nicely with everything. Like it's I mean, I'm surprised that they didn't fund. I am surprised. I thought they were going to, and I think that's probably why we didn't talk about it much, because it was just the assumption that they were going to fund. But yeah,
but I mean, if you were to use that figure there with the with the camo bottoms on, you could literally give him some trigger fingers and a bit more armor from a couple of GI Joes, and he wouldn't look out of place.
No.
I mean, you could mix them because they scale well with Legends and most Hasbro products. By the looks of it, they would be cool just to mess around with the different accessories, costume pieces, and you could really customize these up to be something different.
Yeah.
But the little add-on packs look cool, like these little that you can turn put a jacket on them instead, or there were some really cool little bits that went with them. It's
really
was. Shame to be there, but
I just think it's the reason I think it's a shame as well is that it's a shame that there's a very cool concept that's not on the market now.
Yeah,
I think that above everything else is what is a shame. That there is a concept here that I think a lot of people would buy into if they're on the shelf that now haven't made it to the shelf.
I personally think he's come too far with this to let it go now. I think he'll reevaluate the project and come back. Yeah,
I don't think this is the last. I think this is the last we've seen of them. I think that they'll be back. They'll be back.
Well, speaking of crowdfunding projects, like how I did there, HasLab, Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
this obviously this bad boy funded, didn't it? This came out of nowhere. It's on its 12,000 now.
It's opened its first unlock tier, hasn't it?
It has. That's what we're going to look at. So
I tell you what, though, the tiers aren't that great. Like they're not.
They never are with Ghostbusters, no.
No, I mean, for a Ghostbuster fan, I think they're very fun, shall we say, like with the patches and stuff like that. But they're not kind of things that. I mean, I think the thing that is done right with this is it doesn't make a difference to the base offering.
No.
Like if you don't get the tiers, you don't get the tiers. But then like this, for example, it's a lot of stuff that for Ghostbuster fans, like that deck of cards.
Yeah.
Most Ghostbusters fan will have probably something of that sort in their collection anyway on display. But to kind of get an official one is very cool. To get the Razor Cult books logo sticker and all that kind of stuff, like it's just a very cool little add-on, and it just makes the whole offering that much better.
That Stay Puft Marshmallow Man sticker, I actually had that as a child. I actually had that sticker.
Really?
Mm-hmm. That is a retro sticker. I'm sure it is. I swear I had that sticker.
Like if I was backing it and I was going to display it, having those blueprints would look really cool, like in the back of the display.
Yeah. The only thing that made me laugh was the little Ghostbusters, like what would you call it, little patch. I mean, come on. The price of this thing, £300. You can buy one of them on eBay for £5. Come on.
Yeah, they're not. It's just. But then further down, the next unlock, they're more unique. So there we go. Look, HasLab. That's a cool patch.
Yeah.
That's a very cool patch. And the holster, having a holster.
The holster should come with it.
You would think
part
it
of
would.
the damn deal.
You really think it would, and then that's the next one, isn't it? And then there's a holster for the PKE meter, and then the little Stay Puft patch as well. So they're not anything that's going to kind of sell it, but I think it's moving with such momentum that I think it will probably unlock 2, if not 3 of those tiers.
So it needs 18. It's already on 12.
Yeah.
So it could do it.
I'm gonna say, like, having seen it at MCM, like I sat on Hasbro Pulse for about 20 minutes after I saw it, like kind of like, do I back it, or like, and it was just kind of like, where does it go in my collection? Like, how would I display it? But it's a really cool item. Like, it looks like a movie prop. It really does. Like those images do not over exaggerate how cool it looks.
Nice.
Yeah. But I think the reason I wouldn't fund it is as a casual fan of the Ghostbusters merchandise. I'm a big Ghostbusters fan, but as a casual fan of the merchandise, for me, the trap, I'd want to be rolling it out and hitting the pedal. Do you know what I mean? But it's how many times can you do that? It's like having a lightsaber. Do you know what I mean? Like, you get some people that are all like, they do their lightsaber tricks and stuff like that. But for me, it's just a case of every now and again turning it on and going, I am your father. Like, it's, it is what it is. Speaking of casual fans, though, I've completed a collection. I've completed a team after however long. So Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I came out of a long time ago.
Yeah.
I kind of went back into it I had I kept a metallic. You know, they did that metallic line.
Yeah.
I kept the metallic White Ranger because it was just very cool. And it was boxed and everything like that. And then obviously everything happened with Jason David Frank, and I was like, well, I'm definitely going to hold on to this one now. And then I slowly kind of picked up some of the others, but the pink one was an exclusive, wasn't it? The metallic one. But I've got it.
Nice.
I've finally got my hands on it. So I now have the full range of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in that metallic finish. So I'm going to be
Where did you get it from?
those and just the trade.
Just trade. Nice.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was just one of them figures that I kind of never really chased after, but I didn't really think I'd get hold of. And I was kind of like, I was debating getting one of the new, what's their new line called? I can't remember what it's called. Not Lightning Collection, Legacy Collection or
Legacy
something.
Collection, yeah. Then
I was debating getting a pink and just kind of putting her at the back, but the metallic ones, they're so different looking. It would just stand out too much, and I was like, so I've not unboxed them because I was like, well, I'm going to keep them in the box until if I ever get a pink, and then I'll put them on display. And I finally got a pink, so I'm going to have them displayed, and it's just quite cool to have them with that kind of metallic look, just a little bit different, a bit like cool. the movie versions, the glittery versions.
Everyone says the movie versions will never happen, but I think they will happen eventually. I think eventually Hasbro will find a way of doing it.
They've got to.
I know there's licensing issues, but I think they'll find a way.
They have to. If they can give us the full likeness of Andrew Garfield when there's licensing issues with this new Spider-Man film, surely they can get around and give it. Even if they're slightly different, like you know, I don't know. Like I don't even think I'd be angry if it was the movie suits, but with the original coins, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So instead of like the toad, it was the Sabretooth or whatever, the mammoth. I would kind of get behind that, like because I know not.
It would be cool to get the different weapons that were different in the movie. Like it would be cool if they gave Aisha actually had like the big lights on the helmet. Because she turned the lights on the helmet, didn't she, at one point? And then you've got like Kimberly had the whip instead of the bow. Things like that. There were some slight differences that they never really explained in the movie why they had them. They just had new weapons and shit. So that'd be cool just to have in the collection.
Yeah, but and I think that the movie, cheesy as it was and everything like that, it was for some people such a thing.
It's cheesy, but I still watch it at least once a year, twice a year, maybe. I'll still put it on if it it's always on Netflix. I always pop it on every now and again when I'm working. I've got no better to do. Or if I've had a really crap day, to put that on, it cheers you right up.
You know what? Why all cards on the table? I'm kind of like that even with the new version. Like the new version, even though it's not the Power Rangers I grew up watching, I can still have it on in the background and kind of enjoy it because it's like it's a bit of fun, isn't it? It's like they're still jumping around in suits and fighting bad guys. It's cool.
So yeah, that was cool. But that was kind of it for toy news, really, wasn't it? Unless you can think of anything else.
No, I can't actually. I can't. I was trying to think what else we saw happen this week, and there wasn't a huge amount.
Well, we had some trailers drop. We had some trailers.
Yeah,
we had some good
There's
trailers.
a bit happening on the screen. Did you, before we get into trailers, you went and saw Five Nights, didn't you?
Yeah.
So I saw it this week.
Oh, I liked it. What do you think?
Yeah, you know what? As someone that's never fully played the game, I actually quite enjoyed it.
There was only a couple of moments in the film that I thought that's a bit silly, and that was when she was playing with the animatronics and they went and built a tent. That bit was a bit. These are killer robots. Like I've played the games. These are killer robots with ghosts in them, and you're letting them play with your child and build a tent, apparently, a fort.
But you know what? As someone that has never really played the game, like I kind of knew the story. And obviously I've watched that Wally's World or whatever it is, the Nicolas Cage one, like which just looks like even more of a knockoff now that I've seen Five Nights. But as someone that doesn't fully know the story was really engaging in that respect of kind of like learning what the thing was, and I kind of called that it was him at the beginning, that he was the dad, and it was
all of the game fans that have played all the games going in knew that because everyone knows that. It's not hidden anymore. So that was cool to see that play out on the big screen. The thing was with the Five Nights movie, it was very accurate to the video games. They kept the story more or less 100%. So they did a damn good version of the first game, which brings me on to that Balloon Boy, the little kid with the balloon that kept appearing and doing little jump scares, making him jump. That Balloon Boy wasn't in the first game; it was in the second game. And the suit that they tried to put the girl into, if you remember, they tried to kidnap the girl and stick her in one of the suits. That was, I believe, Ballora. So they're clearly planning future, like they've put little Easter eggs in
that kind of lead on to the next lot.
Yeah.
That was cool. It was cool.
Let me find something. So keep talking for 2 seconds. We need to stay on the Five Nights at Freddy's theme because I've got something to show you now.
No, okay. But yeah, I just like it. Like my kids know about it. My kids know the story and stuff. But finding out as the story played out, finding out kind of that they were the ghosts in the robots or the animatronics and stuff. The only thing I didn't quite understand is like why, like what was it that was he just a killer? Did he just kill kids? Like was that the theme of it? And the timeline didn't quite make sense because it felt like he did it years ago, but then obviously he's still very young, so it was very recent, if that makes sense. So there was a couple of little bits where I was kind of like, oh, okay, I can pick a little bit of this, but overall it was just a lot of fun, and there was some good jump scares in it. It was my thing with films like that is the believability. Like, is it believable or is this just ridiculous? And watching it, I was kind of like, okay, that's believable, that's understandable. Like, things were happening that made sense as opposed to they were completely out there and didn't make sense.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. There were a couple of there's a couple of timeline issues. Obviously, he would have been 12, 13, and when his brother supposedly got kidnapped. But yet Matthew Lillard don't look old enough to be the guy. Yeah, there were a few little things that didn't make sense,
but it wasn't enough to ruin it. It wasn't enough to criticize it, and I think it's been received really well.
Yeah, the thing is, they needed Matthew Lillard because he's a fan, for one. He's a gamer, for two. And three, he's well-liked and well-received. And they needed him for a bit of credibility. I think that's also why they like using that the kid, Josh Richardson. Because, again, if they'd have used a cast of relatively all unknowns, I think we would have seen a bit more people not liking it as much.
Yeah. Isn't he from, like, Hunger Games or something? Was he
he's the kid from Hunger Games, Zathura. He's been in all sorts. He's been around a while, that lad.
Yeah.
But I've got something to show you now from TikTok. Because I doubt you saw this in the movie, because I didn't. I didn't know this was even there. So there was the little post-credit scene, wasn't there, that we saw?
With like they spelt like come.
Oh no! Did you see that? See, I didn't see that bit in my theater. I didn't stay. I saw the first post-credit scene with Balloon Boy getting in the taxi, but I didn't see the bit where it started spelling things out. I didn't stay.
Oh, I missed that first post-credit scene.
Oh, did you miss the first one?
Yeah.
So at the very end of the film, it showed a post-credit scene of Balloon Boy in the taxi.
Oh, right.
Like the door opens and the door shuts, and he's like, "Where are you going?" He turns around, and it's just Balloon Boy sat there.
Oh, right.
And it just ends.
Fair enough.
But yeah, there was this bit. So you've already seen this bit then, when it starts spelling out there. See, I missed this completely. So it eventually spells out "Come find me."
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder
that's a really cool.
Relevant to him.
Yeah, so that was a relevance to the video game. At the end of the first game, that was the way it let you know that this wasn't the end of the story. So they've kept that aspect of the post-credit scene from the game in the movie. It's the old Atari voice.
Yeah.
That voice is the Atari. So in the Five Nights at Freddy's video games, you would play little mini games. I'm not sure if you've ever played them. So you would get and you would play the story of the evil guy, the bad guy, and he would look like this. One of the Atari pieces. I've got a figure. Whoop. It would look like that.
Okay,
it's like an old Atari style, and you would play like these old Atari style games that it told you the backstory of Five Nights at Freddy's. But at the end of the first game, you had the "Come find me," and that's kind of like him, I believe, talking from beyond the grave.
Ah,
so.
Cool.
in the movie timeline, they've changed a few things. The girl that's in the movie with them, the security guard, the police guard ends up being his daughter. In the games, Vanessa is in the security video game, the latest one on Xbox.
Yeah.
She's in that. And she's not his daughter, but she's a follower of his. She she ends up being a killer herself, kind of thing. She ends up being a bit of a psycho herself.
Right.
So I think what's going to happen with the movies, I don't think they're going to make them like Five Nights at Freddy's 1, 2, 3, 4, because there's too many. I think what they'll do is they'll make this one, then we'll jump to Sister Location, and then we'll jump to Security Breach. I think there'll be 3 movies, and they'll make it a trilogy, and they'll kind of jump the story around a bit to make it make sense for the movie versions. They'll kind of mix it up a bit. Plus, as well, that'll make like what Marvel do. Kind of, there's no point just retelling it piece for piece because everyone knows the story. They may as well mess it up a little bit to make it entertainable for new audiences. So I think they're kind of doing that with it, and they're going to make 3 films. I think that's my. And they need to, anyway.
With any franchise that's so well known and the story is so well known for the dedicated fans, they have to have an aspect of kind of surprise or aspect of kind of that makes them kind of come out and go, oh, that was brilliant because of this. Or even if they hate it, they're talking about it online and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the great thing about this movie was as well, they had actual YouTubers in it. They had YouTubers in that film. So the taxi driver is a well-known YouTuber. He played the Five Nights at Freddy's games in entirety on his channel when they first came out. And the guy in the diner scene, he was MatPat. It's just a game theory. That's him. That's why he said in the film, he actually says, that's just a theory, because that's his catchphrase.
Yeah.
So they made him say it in the film. So yeah, there were some really cool nods in it if you're a diehard.
That is very cool. So while we talk about franchises and stuff, let's talk Marvel, because Marvel's kind of done a little bit of a U-turn recently with Loki. You caught up?
I'm caught up now. I understand it more now, to be fair. And to be fair, well, I watched the first couple. I watched to the first 2, and I was bored because it was like week upon week. Now I've had the chance to sit down, like I've sat down this afternoon and binge watch all 4 episodes, is it? 4 or 5? I've binge watched all of them up until now. So it made more sense to watch it in its entirety like that. It just made more sense, like canonically, if the word we need that word you want to use. But I like it now. I've got to the point where I'm kind of like invested in it now.
There's a lot of talk that this is how Deadpool is going to end up in the MCU because of what the TVA is doing. Yeah. I read a really cool theory today. Excuse me, theory or rumor, or you might have seen it, but supposedly, Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man are slated to head up the next Avengers film, the Secret Wars, Avengers Secret Wars. So you have the Kang Dynasty, that's obviously the first one. There's 2 Avengers films coming. This is all very much in the mix because of all the stuff that's going on with Jonathan Majors. There's a lot of talk about them sidestepping it and now making it into a Doom thing, and Doom's going to take over as the main villain because Kang obviously is tied up with a lot of controversy that goes with him. Well, not Kang, but Jonathan Majors. But then the second one is going to be the Secret Wars. And there is a rumor going around that the TVA are going to create almost like a new form of the Avengers using people from different timelines.
Using different variants.
Yeah. So cool. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man being the main 2 characters that kind of head that up. And if that happens, that film is going to be... it's going to be potential to be one of the big ones, I think.
That then just opens the door for them to play with cameos again.
Yeah. And obviously the Secret Wars film will be the end of this phase. So this is obviously the multiverse,
the madness kind of thing,
phase. Yeah. So where we're seeing all different versions and variants and all that kind of stuff. But when you look at things like No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness and Loki, with Kang, with Ant-Man, all that kind of stuff. So we've got all of these different variants and stuff. And then that Secret Wars film is the kind of the finale, the big finale thing. So to pull in these characters, but then I was reading it and I was thinking this is very, very awesome. But that film isn't due to come out until 2025, I think. So that's still a good 2 years from now. Like Wolverine, like Hugh Jackman, Tobey Maguire, they're going to be that little bit older in 2 years' time. Like, is it going to work still? But there's a lot of kind of weight behind the rumor, because at the end of the day, they've both kind of re-entered the scene in No Way Home, and obviously upcoming in Deadpool 3.
Oh, can you imagine if they did? Oh, just hear me out. Imagine if they did the whole, like, Loki's got that panel, and he can just zoom little orange door and he's there. What if that's how he gets them all? What if it's like just like Nick Fury did? He does the same thing, and we see Loki appear at the end of Deadpool and just take Wolverine.
Well, that's time will tell. Time will tell. But when you actually think about it, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, they were the main characters, the main people that kind of drove the Marvel franchise forwards before we had Iron Man. So a lot of people think of the MCU because obviously the MCU was kind of born around that time, and Iron Man seemed very much as the first MCU film, and it started the whole Avengers saga and everything like that. But before that, it was Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and it was Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and they were our main Marvel film characters. I think there must be a lot of touchy ground around Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, but it doesn't make sense for them to bring him in as opposed to over the Tobey Maguire's one. But
Tobey Maguire is the more mature Peter Parker. He's going to be the one that's the eldest and the kind of he makes more sense to pull in than Andrew Garfield. I feel Andrew Garfield's story had a nice ending with No Way Home, with him saving MJ and that like meeting the other two Spider-Men, and that kind of was like a nice close to his storyline, I felt.
Oh, I agree. I completely agree. The other thing as well is that when you think about the characters, we have old versions of those characters in Marvel. So we have the Last Stand Spider-Man that we've obviously seen most recently as a Marvel Legends figure. So you could get Tobey Maguire in that leather jacket, like bearded look and that kind of stuff. Get Wolverine as like almost like an old man Wolverine type character, like with a Stetson and the long leather coat and everything like that. Like it could be a very cool. Can you imagine like an Avengers with those, like? But then who else would it bring? Like it opens up the possibility to have essentially anybody that we're seeing on and off screen. So I quite like it, and I love kind of talking theories and sort of throwing it about. And I think that's what Marvel's missed in the last couple of years.
If they could maybe even pull Morbius in and try and save it a little bit, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Try and give him, because I don't know what the hell they're doing over there at Sony, but they're...
Well, supposedly the Craven film is looking quite good. The trailer for that looked very good, and I read as well that they're going to use Miles Morales as their universe's Spider-Man. So they're going to go forward with a live-action Miles Morales film that ties in with Venom and Craven and that kind of stuff. So you've got a Spider-Man that goes up against those villains in the Sonyverse, but it will very much be Miles Morales. And I think that's a brilliant idea. The only problem is if Sony does it, then it doesn't give Marvel and the MCU much room to continue the Spider-Man story arc in a different direction. They would just
could go with MCU could go with Ben Reilly.
Yeah. I don't know if he's popular enough for a casual fan though. Because if you think about it, he is like a clone of Peter Parker, just with different coloured hair. So it'd literally be like Tom Holland with a different haircut, and people would be like, why are we getting that? And like, I don't like him blonde. Andy H said, was there talk of a third Amazing Spider-Man? I think there was at one point, because originally there was supposed to be a third one, and then it was cancelled. I don't know where they're at with that, but next year 2024 does mark the 10-year anniversary of the Amazing Spider-Man 2. That came out in 2014. Makes you feel old, right? Makes you feel old. Yeah, mate. Yeah, I remember the Tobey Maguire.
I do. I went to the cinema to see it. I remember it.
I remember
first X-Men. I saw the first X-Men on the big screen.
Yeah, me too. Actually, I remember seeing the posters for it in Times Square and being like, "Mate, this is a good time to be alive."
Yeah, I remember sitting in that cinema and hearing that, even though it wasn't the real version, it was a slowed down version of it. Still, it was the X-Men on the big screen, and seeing Hugh Jackman. The first time was Wolverine, and going, he is Wolverine.
But the funny thing is you go back and watch that very first X-Men film, I think he looks rubbish.
The first outing,
yeah, it's not the same. But I don't know whether they'll go back and do another Amazing Spider-Man. I think it's one of them kind of like mythical kind of things. Like I think Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was so hated at the time. There was a small kind of selection of fans that really liked him, and then he kind of gained popularity, and now obviously after No Way Home, he's become like a lot of people are saying he's the best Spider-Man. But I think you're right. I think his story's kind of seen that arc, and I don't know where they would take it if they were gonna. His one shot, and it's
His big thing was that he didn't save MJ. That was the whole point of his arc, and then you know what I mean. Then we never got to see the proper third movie that they planned, and it was a different style of Spider-Man. That one, and I liked it, but. I think with the fact that he's now come through to the other world, saved MJ, if you will, and kind of had that bromance buddy moment with the other two Spider-Men, I see his arc as closed. Whereas we had the other Peter Parker, and I think he's still got something to do. Like I think there's still something there for him to do. It felt more about Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland to me, that movie, and they just threw the other guy in there. I keep forgetting his name. Tobey Maguire, for God's sake. It feels like they just threw Tobey Maguire in for nostalgia purposes because they had to. He didn't contribute much, did he?
No. I do think there's more to go. But interestingly enough, because it is the 10-year anniversary of Amazing Spider-Man 2, talking about Marvel Legends, if you look back at what they've released all of the villains except for the Amazing Spider-Man ones. So I think that there is definite possibility that we are going to see the Lizard, we're going to see Electro, possibly movie versions as well as No Way Home versions. I think we'll probably see a lot more Amazing Spider-Man action figures. I think maybe it's probably just the general term to give it, just because when I interviewed Ryan, he did say something in the interview, and he said something along the lines of that, you'll probably notice that one of the figures, the card back is different because there was a few things going on, and in a nutshell basically said there was things going on behind the scenes and they've managed to work it out, and they were able to give us the 3 unmasked heads. So the fact that they gave us that one figure on that card back that nothing else was, you can see it being a bigger deal, and them going, you know what, if you release 10 figures on that card back and we get however much of the profit, then yes, you can do it. So I think there's definitely more coming on that card back for next year for the anniversary. That would be my prediction going into 2024.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Andy H has said, I can remember going to see Batman in the cinema, as in the Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson one. Now I feel old. I saw that in the cinema as well.
Yeah, I did. I saw that for the first time on VHS. I was 2. That's where the age difference is slightly different. I don't remember that one, but I remember going to see. I think it was Batman Forever was the first Batman I saw on the big screen with Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey one.
That would have been the first one I saw on the big screen. So I think I was too young for Batman Returns as well, to be honest.
Yeah, it's funny though, isn't it? Like the difference in the movies nowadays compared to how they were back then, but yet back then they had such an impact. Just taking a look at the comments while we're here. Viz is in the chat. Said, find myself enjoying retro carded waves more than Build-A-Figure waves. Build-A-Figure waves this year have been a bit hit and miss for a lot of collectors. I do agree. I think there's such a wide offering. We're talking Marvel Legends, I'm guessing, but I think there's such a wide offering of different styles of cards that they can put out now, whether they're deluxe, super deluxe, retro card, clear box, closed box. The Build-A-Figure wave almost seems like something they're doing for the sake of doing it still.
Yeah.
I don't think it's their main passion as much as it was before.
I can see that whole idea of a wave like that dying off very quickly. Because they're slowly moving more and more towards the card back. They seem to like that more more collectors seem to be going for the card back stuff because there is a lot of inbox collectors now, which there wasn't before because of the card backs has brought the inbox collectors to Legends, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And you got to remember as well, the Builder figure is something that they inherited essentially from Toy Biz, because that was something that Toy Biz did, and they carried on with it, and they were the only toy company that kind of did this. Here's a bunch of figures as a set, and if you get all of them, you can build this. And as a concept, I think it was brilliant, but it's not unique anymore. Everyone's doing this kind of tiers and Builder figures and Builder bits and all that kind of stuff, and they've even bled it into their other lines, haven't they?
Yeah. I mean, I would like to, like, as much as we hate seeing the words, you know, deluxe, I think we'll slowly move out of they'll slowly re-release the ones that people want in the collections that they can't get now, which inevitably are going to be Builder things. But I think we will get to a point where they'll run out of those ones to do, and we will see them do nice, bigger figures that we don't normally get.
Yeah. You know what? Funny enough, like I know I'm not as heavy on my Legends as I used to be, like collector-wise, but the deluxes don't bother me. They really don't. Like, even if you keeping it on the theme of Spider-Man, if you look at the more recent Goblin and Doc Ock that we've got as deluxes, that's cool. Like, it was very cool to be able to go, you know what, I want a Goblin, I'm going to buy a Goblin, as opposed to, well, I want a Goblin, so I'm going to have to get these 7 figures in order to have him.
Yeah.
And then I'm stuck with 3 or 4 figures that I didn't necessarily want. My issue with the deluxe figures comes from when they come out and then 6 months later they're a third of the price.
Yeah.
That annoys me. But I understand that they're not always completely in charge of that, depending on kind of retailers and what they're selling them at and stuff. But yeah, I personally don't have a problem with the deluxe figures at all. Like, actually, speaking about those 2 deluxes as well, they were due to land this week. But then the dates were pushed back until the beginning of December.
Oh, no.
I didn't think we were going to get them because everyone in America is talking about getting them end of 23, beginning of 24. And for some reason, ours were scheduled for like the beginning of November. So even at the time, I was kind of like, well, we're not going to get them like 3 months ahead of everyone else. Like, that's just not going to happen, is it?
Yeah, things they do like to give random dates, don't they? We know that now. We're used to that now.
Moving away from Legends and stuff slightly, though, another thing that came back onto the telly this week was Invincible on Amazon Prime.
Oh yeah.
You've been watching? Did you watch Invincible last season?
I've not seen Invincible at all.
Mate, jump on board. It is awesome. It is awesome. It's just a very cool. It's just not Marvel. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Not Marvel. It's very in the same strain as like The Boys, in the respect of very ultra violent, very kind of realistic in that aspect of things. And I'm a big fan. I've got a couple of figures from Diamond Select that I still haven't opened, and then having this new series come on, I'm like, right, I'm getting on these. So these are Alan the Alien, which is quite cool. He's essentially an alien that's sent here to destroy the planet, and it turns out he's come to the wrong place. So and Duplicate, which is she can basically like kind of like a lizard, kind of like she can duplicate herself and limbs and stuff. So there's some pulled off limbs and that. But these are from Diamond Select.
Invincible, when I look at the artwork for like that stuff, because I did look at stuff, it always seems to, I don't know why, because I know it's not on the animation, but it reminds me of like a Futurama style thing.
It feels like very similar.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, I can see that. It is very similar. Yeah, I mean the comic books are quite cool, but for me the TV show was definitely where it was at. Like I read a few of the comic books when they came out, and Ryan Otley was at MCM actually, the artist and stuff, and I went and said hello to him and stuff. But yeah, for me the comics were okay. I did enjoy them, but when I watched it as an animated show, I was fully invested. I was like, this is brilliant. Like, it's one of them shows, and it's got a lot of the same voices as the people from The Walking Dead.
All right.
So, a lot of the guys that do voices that play characters in The Walking Dead are providing voices for this. But it's just fun. It's just a lot of fun. Like, Omni-Man is just like your Superman type character, but he's just a fucking bastard. Like, excuse my language. But yeah, it is fun. It is fun.
Did you see the trailer this week for Planet of the Apes? I did send you it. Did you get a chance to view it?
Yes, Lee, got to talk about this. We have to. A Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes just looks.
So the names
brilliant.
always make me laugh. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, World of the Planet of the Apes, War of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, fifth movie of the Planet of the Apes. Like,
I said in my little video that I kind of made about it on TikTok that I like the fact that we're finally getting to the point now where it's back to being the Planet of the Apes that I remember as a kid growing up with the McDowells and all that. Like the whole they're in charge and the humans are now like in the shadows. That's what I like about the look of this movie. Like it is very much that, isn't it? The apes are like throwing scraps to the humans, and that's what I remember about Planet of the Apes, especially like the Tim Burton one and stuff like that. The apes were very much in the dominant. So I'm looking forward to seeing that again.
I forgot about that, Timber, with the one with Mark Wahlberg.
The Mark Wahlberg one.
I forgot all about that one.
Helena
like
Bonham Carter. Helena Bonham Carter, all weirdly monkeyfied.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
It was a good film. I liked that one. Everyone hated it. I grew up with it, so I like anything Tim Burton does. You know
what? I remember now. I can't even remember who it was with, but it was one of these like DVD subscription services where you like bought however many DVDs a month and paid your fee. And the Planet of the Apes was one of the first ones I bought on this subscription. And I watched it to death. Like I watched it over and over and over again. But yeah, I forgot all about it. But no, this particular one, this Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, does look good. And I think, like I said to you as well when we were talking, is for me when this new series of films started, it was so far separated from what I had seen when I was younger and what I remember as Planet of the Apes that I was engaged, but I was also like, this isn't the same. But to kind of follow this film series to where it is now, it's great seeing that story of how Planet of the Apes was developed and kind of was grown, if that makes sense. But it looks like this one's quite a distance in the future.
Yeah, so the official sort of synopsis is it says many years after the reign of Caesar, so we know that it does continue from the previous movies. Many years after the reign of Caesar, a young ape goes on a journey that will lead him to question everything that he's been taught about the past and make choices that will define a future for apes and humans alike. Okay.
So we're definitely away from Caesar and that everyone connected to him in that respect.
Yeah, it's centuries on from that. Well, we saw in the film that like the humans are now very much few and far between. Like they was using the humans almost like pets, weren't they? Like there was that scene where he threw an apple and that girl sort of came out of the dark and grabbed it. So it's like they're very much savage-like humans now rather than civilized. I think the monkeys now are the civilized beings and we're reverting back to being animals almost.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to see what they do with it.
Yeah. Do you think there's any way that there will be somebody? Because obviously the big reveal at the end of those original movies was seeing the Statue of Liberty and stuff like that. Do you think we're going to get to that point where somebody arrives on the Planet of the Apes and they've time traveled somehow, or do you think they'll just stay away from that?
No, I think they'll stay away from it. I think this is meant to be like they're using the old ones, so like they're honoring the past, but they're moving forward. Yeah. I think if anything, we might see some parallels to the original Planet of the Apes movies potentially because we're moving it forward in time.
Yeah,
but no, I'm happy for them to just stay away from all of it and just kind of use the past bit as like a base and then go forward with some new stories, make a new trilogy of movies.
I've really enjoyed
rifles this time around.
No, I've really enjoyed every single one of these films. I'm not going to lie, like every single one of them has been brilliant. Even the first one.
Together strong.
I think of not Meet Joe Black. What's the gorilla film?
Mighty Joe Young.
Mighty Joe Young. That's what I think of when I see a sign language.
The monkey doing sign language. Crap.
Yeah. Monkey. It is just Meet Joe Young. No, Mighty Joe Young. But yeah, no, I am very excited for it. I'm very excited for it. Another trailer as well. We got a bit more of a look at the Marvels.
I didn't see that one this week. Was that a good one?
It's much of the same. They're not giving a huge amount away as to what it is. All of the trailers to me seem, because obviously we know that when each of the three characters use their powers, they swap places. We know that that's what's going on.
That's what we think is happening.
Well, yeah, that's what we've been led to believe, and every single trailer is very much just a lot of that.
I wonder whether this could have any form of link to what Loki's doing. I wonder if they could be time slipping as well.
Yeah,
and that they're all time slipping at the same moment and then going because the whole point of Loki was he needed people. Do you remember that last part of the episode that we just found? He just found out how to control it, and it was that he needed. It was about the people. So I'm wondering whether the Marvels are time slipping now, and they're trying to find one another. They're trying to come together, but by the time one of them transfer, they're all moving at the same time, so they never come together till like some point during the film, and that's when they're the to control it.
That would be an interesting take.
And that would link it then to Loki, linking everything as what's happening on the TV into the live action, into the proper movies then.
There's Nick Fury's in this one as well. So I'm really hoping it does well and it kind of redeems Nick Fury after Secret Invasion. I was really disappointed that was his big kind of solo outing, and it kind of tanked because he's been such a cool character throughout the films and throughout the franchise. But yeah, the trailer for the Marvels is very much a lot of the same, a lot of kind of fights and slipping between each of their kind of realities. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see where they go with it and what the plan is for Marvel. I think that they're at that stage now where, obviously, with all the writer strikes and everything like that, it's a little bit slower, but they really need to kind of pull it up a little bit.
Oh, did you? Yeah, with all the strikes and things, have you seen the slate of movies for next month? They're not that cracking. Like normally there would be a lot of films coming out around Thanksgiving, Christmas. There's not that many, and the DVD releases are slowing down now. Like for the last few months, it's been months of re-releases of Blu-rays and things that are already like in physical media getting re-released because there's no new movies to release. The movies are so sporadic now. So we're starting to see the effects of it now, affecting the industry a bit.
I also heard as well that supposedly Blade is on the rocks.
Yeah, well, because they haven't even started filming that yet, have they? Has that even started production?
No. But yeah, supposedly that's on the rocks, which I'd be kind of upset about.
I would, but at this point in the game, I'd rather them scrap it and start fresh.
Just bring Wesley Snipes back for Secret Wars, and then that's good.
For me, if they're going to do Blade, they need to do it properly, and they need to do it from the comic books. Don't just give us that same story again of his mother and the stupid Frost guy again. He's been. I know he was one of the main villains in the stories, but he came a lot later in the comic books. I want to see the early tales of Blade, not the modern. Everyone wants the Wesley Snipes long jacket Blade, which didn't come into the comics until Wesley Snipes did it.
Yeah,
Blade in the comic books was
funny looking character.
Yeah, and before the films, he wore like a vest with no sleeves, and he was bald for most of his tenure. And then suddenly they gave him the Wesley Snipes haircut and gave him that
tattoos and stuff. Yeah,
but I'd love to see them tackle. For me, it's still all about bringing Werewolf by Night, Blade, Morbius, Ghost Rider together and doing a Sons movie. They just have to do it.
Supposedly Thunderbolts as well. That's on the chopping block.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, did
you see the trailer for Echo?
Yes.
Oh, that looked good.
Yeah.
I did some deep diving. We were talking about it, and I want to talk about it on the podcast because I did some deep diving.
Go on, Em. Dive deep.
So I was looking at because obviously we know that this is continuing on from the She-Hulk and it continues on from the last outing with Hawkeye and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So this will then be a prequel to the new Born Again Daredevil.
Yep.
So when you look at the cast listing, it's quite cool to see Matt Murdock is going to be in Echo. Matt Murdock is on the listing.
So you had Hawkeye and you had She-Hulk, and that kind of bled down into what is Echo, which essentially is then going to bleed out into what is Daredevil.
Yeah. And what I did was, as you do, I was on my computer tapping away, and I was looking at IMDb. And I went on to the Born Again IMDb, for Daredevil. I thought, ooh, let's have a look at this. She-Hulk is going to be in Born Again, which, yeah, I suppose she was kind of his kind of girlfriend by the end of it. So she's going to reappear.
I think on that note, I think they're going to kind of give her a bit of a redeeming thing. So I think they're going to show her, because the She-Hulk comic book is very much like Deadpool. It's very kind of tongue in cheek, breaking the fourth wall, all that kind of stuff. But there are some really cool aspects of She-Hulk that makes a formidable character. And I think what they've done is they went hard on the comical, breaking the fourth wall, making you laugh kind of thing.
I think they tried to recreate Deadpool. I think they tried to make their own Deadpool, basically, without using Deadpool.
And I think that what they will do with Born Again is they will show us the other side of her. So I think she'll come in very much as because she's not going to break the fourth wall in somebody else's show.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So she could do all that in a title show because it's her show, and so we'll see that aspect of the character. But in somebody else's show, she will just be there as a character.
I personally think she's going to be in it as a cameo. I think she's going to be in it maybe episode 1 for about half an episode. I think they're going to split up straight away. I think there's going to be the opening scene is going to be them two split up, or she needs to go to the West Coast to be with the Avengers, and he needs to stay in New York because that's where his Hell's Kitchen is. That's where his job is. That's where he works. Yeah, so I think they'll do this thing where they'll split amicably, do the whole I've got the West Coast, you look after New York, and then keep an eye on that webhead kid for me kind of thing. There'll be like a tongue-in-cheek joke about Spider-Man in there. And they'll keep them, like, they'll separate the two characters. They'll go the separate ways. Because then we need to get the characters from Daredevil into this without She-Hulk. She-Hulk and Matt Murdock only had a fling in the comics. They're not romantically linked long-term, I don't think, in any shape or form. So I'd like them to go back to the whole Karen Page thing and go back to the proper Daredevil story.
Yep.
But when I was doing my little diggy, it also says that Josh Brethenell, I can't say.
Yeah. Punisher.
He's listed as Punisher, and he's officially on board as Punisher in Born Again.
Not as a cameo. It could be a
flashback. Could be a cameo. It could be a flashback, but they don't say that. We don't know what it is. But he is in the cast listings.
It would make sense for the characters if we're continuing on from where they were. It would make sense for them to cross paths again.
He was a damn good Punisher. It would be a shame to lose him in the breakup of the Netflix thing.
That figure right there underneath my finger, that is him. It was, for me, that was my Punisher for my collection. I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was a fantastic Punisher.
He's a believable Punisher as well. You believe because he's that kind of a guy. He's that kind of an actor. Obviously, we're all used to seeing him from Walking Dead and stuff like that, but he fit that role just perfectly, didn't he?
Oh, it was like sorted for him, wasn't it? And I think what's really cool about that is that him and Tom Holland are also quite good friends, and they kind of put in a good word for each other when it came to different things. And Punisher and Spider-Man obviously have some crossover as well, so there's some real potential for some good crossing over. I'm surprised that Punisher and She-Hulk are listed as characters though, because I didn't think that they would go that much into them.
They're listed again. I suppose if it's Born Again, they want to try and get all the characters in who they want to keep on. There's no listings of the others, which I know they're already kind of. Are they official MCU now?
What the
rest of the Defenders? Sorry, I realize you can't read my mind. The rest of the Defenders. Are they kind of official MCU now? Is that what we're calling them, or is it still Daredevil and a couple of people?
I don't know what the official stance is. Yeah, because that first series of Daredevil and everything, and then in I think it was Luke Cage, they refer to things that have happened in the MCU. So there's like the New York incident and stuff like that. So they made reference to things, and with it going on to Disney Plus, they're all kind of under the same umbrella now. So I think they're canon, but not quotable canon, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. The things that happened in those shows don't have any knock-on effect to the things that have happened in the wider universe, but they kind of acknowledge that they're there and they happened.
Yeah. Because one thing as well, when I was looking at the cast listing, when you go onto IMDb, which is usually pretty accurate because it's not like it can be fan edited, IMDb lists as the stars of the program as Charlie Cox and John Bernthal. They are listed as the top listing cast.
Right.
So I'm wondering whether he has got a decent role, because D'Onofrio is further down the listings.
It's not alphabetical order or anything like that.
Nope. Because Margarita Levevier, she's on there as well as a star. D'Onofrio is not starring in this, but D'Onofrio is starring in Echo. So I think Fisk is going to be in Daredevil, but I don't think he's going to have a major role in it. I think he's going to be there. I think he might be like the end of season thing for them to build up into something.
Yeah.
Because Fisk is the big bad guy of New York, so it makes sense to build him back up now as a formidable villain again.
Yeah, and I think that's what they need. We don't need screen. Almost what they did in Hawkeye. He doesn't need screen time throughout the whole thing because he's not the type of character he is. He wouldn't be in the position every single day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There would be other people in the way. It's like a high level boss in a computer game. You don't see him on every level unless you're playing Mario, but you don't see the boss until you get to the boss, and Kingpin's very much got that kind of status that whatever character it is kind of chasing after him has to work their way up and go through the various different ranks to kind of get to that character. So to see him in every episode of Daredevil just wouldn't work for me. It worked the first time round because we were establishing who Kingpin was, and it was very much his story as well as Matt Murdock's. But yeah, well, that's interesting. Funny enough as well, I put on Daredevil the other day, the old Ben Affleck one.
Oh, yeah.
And I forgot it was Jon Favreau that plays, what's his name?
Oh, he's Buddy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hoagie.
Completely forgot. Foggy. Yeah. Completely forgot that it was him. I was like, wow, this guy's really been around since like.
I love the fact that he can throw. I love that he can throw that stick in the air, take his jacket off, put it down, and then catch it perfectly as a blind man.
Yeah. But in the going back to Echo, the trailer doesn't give a huge amount away. We know it's an origin story. We know that it's it's fleshing out that character. We're gonna hear how she became who she became through flashbacks by the looks of it. And there's going to be some kind of like pivotal character moment that she leads up to. But I'm just worried because she's not a character that a lot of people are familiar with outside of the TV show.
I'm going to jump back to Born Again now. I'm a big Daredevil fanboy, in case you don't know. So, Born Again as well. One last thing I wanted to touch on was when you look at the storyline of Born Again, it this is the official thing. It resolves the original story arc of Daredevil. This is the part where they go back and fix his past, basically. They add a load of new story in, and then it becomes known as the story became known as Born Again in the comics. It was called Born Again. There's like about 230 to like 280 something. There's like a big chunk of the story that is known as Born Again, and basically that was when Daredevil was established as being blinded by the chemicals and all that. They kind of went back and fixed his story arc, which makes sense because they're going back and fixing the original Netflix thing. They're kind of like fitting him into the MCU. So that's cool. They've used that catch line, and then this was the storyline that basically where Daredevil, when it was like he started his descent into madness almost, which is like kind of like how you see him in the original Ben Affleck movie. They kind of touched on it, where he lives in the darkness in New York and he has that weird thing that he sleeps in like a coffin. Because he needs to shut off from the world. That's all because of Kingpin in the comic books. Kingpin breaks him down and really fucks him up, basically. So I am looking forward to this. If they're using the Born Again story as a base, this could be so dark. I think it's going to
be. Got to give a shout out to Andy H, the other guy in the chair. He said, I've just checked IMDb and it's listed for 18 episodes along with Daredevil. Fisk and Vanessa and the rest of the actors are only listed for 1 or 2 episodes.
Cool.
So there we go. Fisk will be in it sporadically, but Punisher and Daredevil are in 18 episodes together.
Because I would love it if they brought the original Karen actress back and introduced her as the heroin addict version that she became in the comic books, because she was completely different in the comic books.
Yeah.
But when Matt met her, he knew her as a student, and then later on she came back to him and she was completely like her life was ruined, and that's what made Matt Murdock she was the reason he came back round to defeat Kingpin in the original stories, because Kingpin ruined her life basically.
I think we need to, because it's obviously crossing over from Netflix over to MCU. Daredevil and Punisher are the two big money ticket characters in that show. So to give them the opportunity to kind of be born again into the MCU and cleverly use that that comic book reference point, at least, even if it's just the title, is very exciting indeed.
And I wonder if they'll touch on Mayor Kingpin a little bit. I'm hoping they touch on that. So basically, in that one, we saw Kingpin. Basically, Matt Murdock tried to take him down in the court of law because he couldn't basically fight him and all his goons. So he tried to take him down by the courts as Matt Murdock, and Wilson Fisk basically shut down Matt's entire firm and had all his friends killed, and it was such a cool storyline, and basically just destroyed his life from Matt Murdock's side. And then he became mayor of New York, and Spider-Man had to jump in and help him. So that would be a cool story arc to like kind of touch on, as well as see Wilson Fisk gets to the point where he's so involved with the police force, he's got everyone in his pocket, and he becomes the proper Kingpin and even the mayor of New York. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be very cool. It's mentioning Spider-Man there. For me, as a comic book reader back in the day, it was all Spider-Man. That was the main. For every other comic book I read, I'd read 2 or 3 Spider-Man books. And Daredevil, for me, I never really went off and read a huge amount of standalone Daredevil stuff back when I was younger. It was always the tie-in thing. So I always think of Spider-Man and Daredevil very much as a buddy cop kind of duo. So for them to work, that's why it's so cool to see him in No Way Home.
Yeah.
I think the fact that we have seen him in No Way Home, and it shows that these two characters are kind of on each other's radar, gives a lot of hope for that potential kind of to happen again down the road.
Yeah.
But
100%.
Yeah, it's going to be a very cool series. I think it's the series I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah, me too. And he's going to obviously he'll have his gold suit originally and then go into the red one hopefully by the end of it, kind of thing.
I'm hoping it's literally like one episode. That yellow suit is, or if it's, I would like to see him in the yellow and red, but I'd like to see him in the yellow and red done properly. So even if they kind of retcon that a little bit and show him changing it or getting it updated, or I don't know, something just to make it a bit more kind of not comic book accurate, because this isn't a comic book, this is a TV show, but to give it a bit more of an aesthetic look, because it was just a yellow and red version of his suit, wasn't it? It wasn't there was no explanation as to why they changed it. Like in the comic books, characters changed their suits because they had an upgrade or because they had a particular foe that they had to go up against, or there was something in the story that required them to change their appearance. Whereas in She-Hulk, there was no explanation as to why he had exactly the same suit, but half of it was painted yellow. Like no explanation at all. And it doesn't even tie in with the kind of character he is, because yellow would make him stand out if he was up in the darkness.
This is the thing. I think we're going to see that play out in the program. I think he's going to start out as the happy-go-lucky Matt Murdock, and he's going to get beaten the fuck down. He's going to get 10 bells knocked out of him, and he's going to have to then go back training more. Because at the beginning, if you remember, in the first Daredevil, he's just a brawler. He doesn't really know any martial arts or anything. Whereas in the comics, he's an acrobat, a martial artist, a kickboxer. So I wonder when they're going to like emphasize his story a little bit more, and there's going to be some time jumping maybe a little bit, where something's going to happen in the first episode where he really has the 10 bells knocked out of him by Fisk and his men or something, and he knows that he has to kind of like, I have to become justice itself, a bit like Batman, and he's going to turn into the dark red version of Daredevil again.
Yeah. I just want an explanation. I want an explanation as to why his suit was then just yellow. Like you can't make a change like that without giving us some legitimate reason. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I think Daredevil's probably the show that I'm most excited about. And I think that they need something that the MCU needs something to come along that's gonna kind of pull them back, because the casual fan hasn't been on board with this multiverse saga thing.
No, I still don't see this side I still don't see that side of Marvel being linked to the multiverse of madness stuff. Even though it probably is, I don't see it that way. I see Spider-Man, Daredevil, She-Hulk, all these kind of things on this side of the field, and then you've got Doctor Strange and all the cosmic characters on the other side of the field. And I see them as two separate not separate universes, but separate stories. They're having their own adventures in their own timelines. I don't see them out crossing much again now because they're building very different storylines. The one like the Matt Murdocky one, I wouldn't want them to start doing time slipping and Kang and stuff because that doesn't make sense in their part of the universe, their street level. Yeah, your Spider-Man's attacking people on the street, stopping robberies, whereas then you've got the Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange fighting the higher level stuff, which is how it was in the comic book. Spider-Man didn't get involved every single time.
No.
So I'd like to see them keep the two separate a little bit.
Yeah, I think they've got to. I think they've got to. It'd be very silly to just. I think they can pull everything together in that kind of Secret Wars, but I think it'd be very silly of them to do that.
Yeah, I think in Secret Wars, like I say, I think there's a good shout about them using. They can still use a Spider-Man, but just not the Spider-Man we're used to. They'll use Tobey Maguire, and then same like instead of pulling some random actors in that are going to eventually become the X-Men, just pull the original cast of the X-Men in for a one-off. Makes sense, and then just throw a couple of the MCU ones in just to make it feel part of the MCU, and then just have a spin-off movie, called The Avengers: Secret Wars, and that'll work.
And there you go. You just wrote phase 5 and 6. That's fine.
It worked for No Way Home, didn't it? It worked having those characters, even though nobody cared about the storyline after that. Everyone was just waiting for Garfield to show up, and then you were waiting for it was that cool moment where the portal just opened and he walked through. That was the movie to me.
Yeah,
and watching them geek out together. That was the fun part. So again, I'm just waiting to see Wolverine interact with Spider-Man now. That's all I want to see.
On the note of Spider-Man as well, I'm really shocked that they didn't make it 6 villains instead of 5, because they could have kind of shoehorned it as the Sinister Six, and we would have finally seen like these 3 Spider-Men go up against essentially a Sinister Six. Like, it's a shame that they couldn't have had Mysterio even as like a.
I think the original plan was to put Venom in there as well, but I think there was some massive issues with Venom because they made that cutscene. They made that cutscene where he came into Peter Parker's world, and then then in the next film they had him completely warp out again, but leave a bit of the symbiote behind. So I mean, it was like they were trying to get him in there, but just couldn't. I think there were some red tape issues there.
Yeah, maybe.
I think Sony were probably saying, "All right, you can have Andrew Garfield, but you're not having Venom."
Yeah,
because it was funny how Topher Grace didn't even show up. They could have put Topher Grace in there.
Yeah,
but they didn't even use that. I mean, he's not doing anything. He's just done that 70 show again, for God's sake. He would have done it.
Yeah, if we get the Sony Miles Morales live action going up against Tom Hardy's Venom, I'd still be on board with that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
that'd be a cool way to bring them back in.
Yeah. And with that, I think we are coming to the end of the show. Is there anything else that we've missed that you want to have a quick chat about?
Yeah. What are you doing this weekend?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're proposing to me. I don't know, sorry. This weekend, not much actually. I don't think I've got much going on.
I want to tease you because you can stay glued to my TikTok for the day because I'll be at the For the Love of Horror.
What?
I'm going to be at For the Love of Horror, and I am going to be loving myself because there's Kiefer Sutherland's going to be there. More or less the entire cast of Lost Boys are there.
It is.
Even the saxophone player, Tim Capello's there.
Wow.
Brad Dourif's going to be there with his daughter and stuff. We've got a bunch of cool people. Alyssa Sutherland from the latest Evil Dead film. There's so many cool people listed.
Wait, slow down. Man, there's loads of cool characters.
Quinn Lord, he was the original Sam from Trick or Treat.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah, there's just so many people listed at this event. Jenna Jamin, obviously, we all know her. And Patty Mullen as well from the
Why do we all know Jenna Jameson? What?
I know Jenna Jameson. Well, yeah, basically.
What's she listed as from on that?
She has been in a couple of horror films, to be fair. Very B-list horror films, but she has been in them. Oh, they've just got the things up. but she has been in a couple of horror films. But yeah, we all know where she's really from.
Go back up to the top with the Lost Boys cast. Go up to the top.
That was the top.
No, it's frozen on the screen then. We're still on Jenna Jameson.
Oh, is it not? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I'm on a different screen.
So you got Alex Winter, which obviously Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
But obviously one of the Lost Boys as well. Jason Patrick, which is of course Michael.
Yep.
Kiefer Sutherland, which
Who
is
needs no introduction.
Wow.
Billy Worth though was
for a
obviously
photo.
Yeah. Billy Worth though as well. He was obviously one of the Lost Boys. He was the long black-haired one. He still looks more or less the same now, to be fair, with a beard. He doesn't age that much. So yeah, most of the Lost Boys are there.
Who are the others underneath? So what are the other three from?
Oh, I've not got much of a clue. But Tim Keller he was the saxophone player in Lost Boys.
The saxophone player,
Obviously Brad Dourif is Chucky.
Yes.
He's the voice of Chucky, and in the Fiona Dorff is his daughter, and she's in the latest Chucky TV series. She's like Chucky puts his spirit inside this girl's body.
Wow.
And it's played by his daughter in the TV series and stuff in the films.
That's dark.
It's quite funny though, because she's obviously doing she's doing an impersonation of her father's voice, so it's quite funny.
So is there going to be a photo opportunity for you to
for
get
all Lost Boys? Yes, that's what I'm going for. That is what I'm going for, and I'm taking my Blu-ray, and they're going to sign it.
How much is that going to cost?
Oh, mate, I don't even want to ask. I'm just taking a credit card that's blank and just saying, just do it. I don't care. Just do it. It's my lifelong dream. Keep
so that's like
please.
4. So how many are we missing? 4. There was 5. Was there 5 vampires before Michael joined?
Yeah.
So it's what, 6 altogether? So it's only missing 2.
Exactly. It's a good opportunity.
Wow, that is really cool. Where is that?
This is for the love of horror at Manchester. I'll be there all day Saturday.
Oh man.
Yeah, my wife is dropping me off and ditching me for the day because she's going to the Trafford Centre. She's like, I'm not walking around that convention hall all day. She's not interested in horror. So Lynn's ditching me and going shopping to the Trafford Centre, and I am literally spending the whole day for the love of horror on my Todd.
But like, look, even so, what's that? 60, 120, 220.
It's going to be about 400 quid by the time I'm done.
250 quid to get a photo with all 4 of them.
No, because you can get, there is a discount. There is a discount to get a photo with all of them together. That is why I'm going. You can get a group shot.
Wow. Wow. That is a good lineup.
But they've got like the stage and stuff that's there. So they have like a stage event, just like some of the MCMs and stuff. Because it's run by Monopoly Events, who do like the big London events. So they've got like a proper stage, and basically Keith Sutherland are all doing Q&A sessions. Like they're going to reunite the Lost Boys on stage, and the saxophone player is going to play the song live as well and stuff like that. So and there's a fairground outside. So outside the event there is a fairground. Exactly. So like they are basically recreating like a Lost Boys reunion at this event. There's going to be a big Ferris wheel.
Why are you only telling me that? Why are you only telling me about this?
I told you and Ryan about this for months. They just keep adding people. They kept adding them month to month, but Keith Sutherland was the big like reveal at the end, like that he's coming.
Wow,
it's going to be one hell of a day. It's going to be a good event.
I mean, the queue for that's going to be insane, though, isn't
it? Mate, the queue for Love of Horror anyway is insane. It's sold out completely. It always sells out. And it's one of them ones that it's definitely worth coming up north for. So like next year, it'd be cool to plan to come up to that one because it is a good event. It's a damn good event.
I'm all over that next year.
They have like a big area that's just full of the traders. They have another area that's just for the stage and stuff. They plan it out like a proper American style convention. They have big photo opportunities. Like I say, they've got a fairground. They've got bars, like little pop up bars that are all themed to horror stuff. So it's a fun full day out.
Next year, I'm all over it. But I am seriously jealous of this Lost Boys.
Yeah,
thing.
It's gonna be good.
Right, there we go. On that note, see you later. Now I'm really pleased. I'm really excited for it. I can't wait to see that photo.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. I mean, like the other year, they had like Tom Savini turned up the other year, and he turned up in the full costume from Dusk Till Dawn.
Wow.
He turned up in the full thing with the gun attached and everything, and he had the button that he could press to make the gun pop up.
That's
so I mean,
mad.
like, yeah, they get some mad guests coming.
Yeah, I'm coming next year. Next year, I'm all over this. Yeah, I'll book a hotel. Yeah, 100% all over this. Oh man, that's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah, I believe they've got a scare maze this year as well set up. So they're doing like a proper like American style scare maze that you can walk through.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and that's this Saturday. So I'll be posting loads of videos, TikTok shorts, and I'll be filming all sorts. I'm on my own, so I'll be able to just film my house content all day long.
Go for it, mate. Go for it. So there we go. Keep an eye on Sorrells this weekend. Cool. Okay. Well, on that note, that's awesome. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Do tune in next week. Next Sunday, we're going to talk about what happened. We're going to see some photos of Sorrell with Lost Boys. Sorrell is the new Lost Boy. Yeah, so we will we'll talk about that next week. We'll do a bit of a recap and go through some of your videos and whatnot. Of course, if you're watching us on catch up, do tune in on a Sunday. If you've been with us this evening, thank you very much. We didn't get to as many of the comments tonight as we tried to. Andy
Andy's just put. Look what he just put. John T. Matty sang "Cry Little Sister."
He sang the song, man. That is like one of my favorite songs. I just didn't know who sang it. It's one of them songs that I've known since I was little.
For some reason, I thought that was Danzig. Why do I think that was Danzig?
Really? Yeah, it's one of them songs that I've been singing it since I was little. I didn't even know who sang it.
Cry, little sister.
It's like it's the theme, isn't it? It's the Lost Boys theme. Man, I'm gonna watch Lost Boys. I'm actually gonna go and watch Lost Boys now. That is what it is. You know what? I'm gonna watch the Lost Boys, the whole lot. Trilogy. Even though the first one is the main one, I'm gonna watch all of them just because I love Lost Boys that much. So yeah, so obviously follow the various different social media handles. You probably know it. It's in the description of the videos. Do tune in next week. We do appreciate you. Do comment along. We will jump on board with those more next week, but we will definitely 100% have a recap of Sorrell's experience at the convention on Saturday.
Yeah.
Can't wait. You know what? That's what the title card for next week's show is going to be already.
For the love of horror.
Yeah. Brilliant. All right. No, sorry, it's been great chatting. We'll talk in a week. And then obviously everyone watching, we'll see you next week. Thanks very much for tuning in. Keep it geek.